welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Community Forum, and I can see a few more people shuffling on in. We'll get started in the next few moments, and before you, as you can see, is Tom Marcicano, who will lead our Community Forum discussions today. If you have any questions or you would like to leave a little message in the chat, please feel free to use the chat function. It's at the bottom bar. Just simply click on chat, and you will see all the notifications out there. Welcome, everyone. Tom, to you the floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nicholas. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for joining us here today. We're here at the Community Forum, and it's part 2, digitization. I am very ably helped by Nicholas and Jovan on the production side. So this is the second part in our Community Forum series on digitization, where we are focusing on our role as change managers in this very important change of digitization. It's great to have you here. I hope you're all doing well. You're all safe and well in this kind of lockdown situation that we're in. Today, we aim to come out with practical steps and in keeping with your request, we are opening up more space for networking and conversation. If you get stuck, you can use the chat box to ask a question or call for help. Nick will be monitoring the box. This is a pretty big audience we have here today, so it may take a little bit for him to get back to you, and I'll thank you for your patience. All right, so I'd like to start off with where we left off with our first community forum about 6 weeks ago, and just a summary of the recurring themes that came through. Last time, these were the main themes that were coming through in terms of how we should be reacting and how we should be behaving as change managers. And, you know, that was, of course, a picture taken on the 30th of March, but there's some really good stuff. And you'll see later on how this has come through and has stood the test of time in terms of its value. So we came into this current environment and we looked at how we would react and how it would impact digitization. And I want to thank everybody for giving us this great input, for all your contributions, especially those from like Sue Haskins and Barry Funderberg. Those people gave a lot of input, especially in the conversations that went afterwards. Last time, of course, was 6 weeks ago. Lockdown was new then, and we were just kind of getting used to the idea of lockdown. And it was really about responding to the now change. So let me ask you to share this, and we're going to be using polls. So here comes the first one. Okay, that's the first poll. Easy for you to participate. All you need to do is open up a tab on your browser, go to www.menti.com, and it's going to ask you for the code. When it asks you for the code, it's 887307. Okay, I listened. I kept in touch. Very important, keeping in touch with the affected people. Yeah, absolutely. What else came in? Empathy. That's a big one. Showing empathy. You know, we caring about the people and what they're going through right now. Talking rather than email. So that's about lots of conversations and Zoom meetings, and listening is a big guy. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Networking. Yeah, networking. Doing a lot of networking. Praying. Yeah, praying for better times, right? These times will pass. These times will pass. This change will go past us. Okay, checking in. Yeah, lots of checking in sessions, especially good for management to be doing that. Flexibility, being flexible, being able to do things differently. Yeah, keep them coming in. Great stuff. Okay, listened. Yeah, listening. Very important there. Very important there. Okay, checking in. Yeah. So a lot has happened since then, right? What do we know? Well, we know a couple of things. We know, first of all, that this is going to take many more months than what everyone thought it would. We're in this for quite a long time. And, you know, we're still on the up curve when it comes to South Africa, but we're on the up curve in a lot of other countries as well. There are not a lot of places that are sort of on the plateau or coming down the other side. So we're likely to stay in this kind of lockdown situation for quite a while. what else have we realized and starting to see over this period is that we're probably going to have to coexist with the virus. It's very unlikely that we're going to wipe it out completely. So we're going to have to find a way of operating in this environment, of doing our digitization, but having a different kind of backdrop to it. And I think we're also moving to two new norms. There's two new norms, and I'm going to call that, the first norm is the pre-vaccine, if you want, norm. It's the how we're going to operate for the next maybe 12, maybe 18 months, who knows, until we finally come out with an effective vaccine. That's going to be one way of operating. And then we're going to have the post-vaccine era, if you like, which is maybe going to go back to something like it was last year, but maybe even that's going to be a little bit different. So if we think about digitization, it's possibly now not just another project, another change that we're bringing into the organization. And we're going to test this out today. To what extent is digitization playing and is important in going forward? So let's consider our digitization change for a minute. And it could be all sorts of things. I mean, it could be, I don't know, digitizing processes, putting in special systems, new systems that are digitizing processes, restructuring data, or maybe it's artificial intelligence, or it's robotics. These are all examples of kinds of digitization going on. So let's consider this, and I'm going to be asking you to feedback a lot. So we're going to share a lot this afternoon. Let me ask you this question. So it's again back to menti.com. You go back there. You should have this question up there right now. How much will your current digitization changes change? So to what extent are the projects of digitization changing as a result of what's happened in the recent past? So you go in there, just give us your answer. Okay, so it could be anywhere from, it's not much change, less than 25%, or it could go all the way to the other, anywhere between half and 100% of this project of ours has radically changed it. Okay, we see it. Okay, so we're getting some scores coming in, and it looks to be, most people are coming back and saying we've got about 25 to 50% of the original change is changing now. We've got to adapt the project to that. A lot of you between the 50 and 75, and I do apologize, that last one should be 76, not 51, 76 to 100%, obviously. And there's quite a few people that are saying, I've got nearly 100% of my projects going to change. So we are adjusting our change in the face of this bigger change to our environment. In fact, maybe digitization is the response to the new environment. Let's test that out. Okay, so how important, let me ask you this, how important is digitization? How important is digitization in the new reality? Okay, how important is digitization in the new reality? Is it extremely important? Is it not important? In fact, you know what? Let's just stop doing it. We've got all sorts of other changes to do. Is it somewhat important? Very important? Okay, well, this is a very skewed graph, isn't it? We're coming out all on the top end. Okay, clearly, it's a very, very important change in the new reality, and it's going to cause us definitely to up the priority on it, I would imagine, and put a lot of focus on this. This becomes the really big change that we have to accelerate. So before now, it was a great change and we were working on it. Now it's a must do. I think it's, we're into the space here of, maybe this is too important to fail kind of sort of change. Now, in collaboration with ProSci, we have come up with a thought structure to describe what we see happening going forward. And I call these waves of change caused by COVID-19. Let's have a look at these waves of change. So I think the first one was the quick societal response to the pandemic, right? So it was all about isolation. We're still very focused on social distancing. It's getting all the personal protection gear going, and all that kind of stuff, which was really very difficult to put in place. But it was the quick, instant response. And of course, we then had the lockdown that followed that. That's now moved, we of course still doing that, but then now there's a second wave of change, and that's the organizational response to this. And I've called out just 3 items there. You know, it's one of them is excelling. Our employees excelling as virtual or semi-virtual employees or team members. The second one is actually how we're going to empower these virtual teams. How do we empower these teams? What are we going to have to change to empower these teams? And the third one's about how do we deploy the resources? So, you know, that's really about the redeploying the mind share, the energy, the effort, the focus. How do we redeploy that from an organizational perspective? The third wave is going to be shaping the future. As we go to shaping the future, what kind of responses, what digitization responses are going to be the ones that really help and carry our organizations and carry us through, and also as individuals, what changes do we need to make? And how are we going to embrace this future way of work? So based on Lewin's force field analysis kind of model, we asked, what are the restraining forces that are going to hold us back from achieving those, and how would we overcome these? So we're going to, I think this afternoon, I'd like to focus us on excelling as the virtual or semi-virtual employee. What can we do? How can we help? How we as change managers and change leaders can help employees excel, and how they will deal with the change of digitization, which we've now said is really, really important. So you have a copy. We sent you a copy of the ADCAR Quick Start Guide. If not, Nick is going to chat it out now into the chat box. So if for some reason you didn't get it or couldn't download it, no problem. Nick's going to chat it out into the chat box, and you can grab it from the chat box, download it. You're definitely going to need this. I'm going to show it up on the screen here. That's what I'm really referring to. It's the guide for applying ADCAR, and we used ADCAR as the model to help us figure out what were the biggest, and actually ask what were the biggest restraining forces, and how could we cope with that. So this was the result of a really cool, huge crowdsourcing exercise that ProSci did a few weeks ago with hundreds of practitioners from around the globe. And you'll see from its structure, there's got like a top section. What are the restraining forces? The bottom section is how are we going to cope with this? So in a little while, I'm going to ask you to break out. We're going to move all the people in the audience here. We're going to move you into breakout rooms, and we're going to move you into a couple of breakout rooms, and each breakout room is going to be focusing on each of the elements of ADCAR. So we're going to do this randomly. I don't know what box you're going to land up in, which breakout room you're going to land up in, but you're going to land up in a room, and you'll see the title of the room, so you'll know which column, which element of ADCAR we're going to ask you to focus on. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to discuss, introduce yourself to the group, get to know each other. We'll give you time for that. And then start to discuss this list here that came out of the crowdsourcing. But I'd also like you to think about what other elements you would like to add to that, which are specific to the situation we're in right now, maybe, or something specific to digitization itself. Okay, how will we help cope? So it's always in the context of your digitization change. And we're doing pretty well on time. So I'm going to give a good 20 minutes for you to go away, meet people, talk about this, and start to create the output that we're going to share when we come back. So we're going to go into the breakout, then you're going to come back, and what's the output that we're looking for here? So here it comes. The question is this: what can you plan for leaders to do? And what can you do to help employees excel as virtual or semi-virtual team members, employees? Okay, I'll say that again. The output is, what can you plan for leaders to do, which is what we do as change managers anyway, and what can you do to help employees excel as virtual or semi-virtual team members? When you come back, be ready to share with the whole group. So we're going to go back and we're going to ask you to quickly capture in and share with the group what was the outcome, what was the output that your group put together. So we can, let's see, what are the items in this list that you really like, that you would prioritize, and what other actions can you come up with? And there were some exciting ones that we did with another session like this, where people came up with some really creative ways of reinforcing people while they're in lockdown, while they're trying to work from home, while they're trying to balance their work and their personal lives in a rather confined space with the dogs and the cats and everything around them. So what could we do to help them do that? All right, so that's the output. So what's going to happen now, you're going to see pop up on your screen, you're going to see an invite that's going to invite you into one of the breakout rooms. So please accept that invite to go into the breakout room. You'll drop in and you'll start chatting amongst yourselves. You've got a good 20 minutes to do this. I'll go moving around within the rooms just to make sure everything is fine. You're all doing okay. Nick will do the same. And we'll see you back here in a little while. Let's see what we can put together. Let's see what we can create. Okay, go ahead. See you soon. Everyone's here. Okay, good. Hi, thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back. I've already had some feedback and said, oh, well, that was 20 minutes. That wasn't enough. All right. I think we'll move on a little bit. And at the end, we're going to stay. We'll keep the lines going. We'll keep the lines up. We can carry on talking about it. So if we finish on good time and you've got the time to stay on, we'll stay on a little bit longer. So welcome back. I trust you had a good time discussing what can you plan for leaders to do and what can you do to help employees excel as a virtual or semi-virtual team member employee. I'm going to ask those groups now in each of the rooms to share your thoughts and decisions and good ideas with the whole group. So we're going to take it one by one, and here we go. So get ready, the awareness team. All right, awareness team. Okay, so what did you come up with ideas to help employees perform in digitization? Remember, it's always, of course, we know what awareness is all about, right? Awareness is about helping people become aware of the need for change, that they need to change. It's not just being aware that there is a change, but it's being aware that I need to do something differently. I am involved. I have to change. Okay, now we're starting to get them coming in. Okay, make the tools available. Let people know where they are, where they can get the stuff. Okay, empathy, trusted messages. Yes, so it's not just the data. It's not just the data. Okay, key messages from leaders are important to build awareness. What does the best practice tell us? Who are the best people to build awareness for change? Okay, if it's about how this change is going to affect my job, the best person research is telling us would be the direct line manager. But if it's about what's going on, how's this company, how's this corporation, how's this organization going to embrace what's going on right now? Of course, we'd like to hear that from the top, from the head of the organization, from the senior leaders. Yeah, so leaders are coming through strongly. Get super creative on how we communicate. Okay, so can I hear some ideas about super creativity, right? Some ideas, just chat in some examples of where you were really creative or what you think we could do creatively from a communications point of view. What could we do? What could we do creatively from what leaders say? So let's come up with that. More frequent and different forms of communication. Yep. From the right stakeholders. So it's about getting the right messages from the right senders. Anybody come up with any ideas about the other side of that equation? And it's the listening side. What about what can we do to help our employees who are sitting at home in lockdown, who are spending most, if not all of their time at home working in the organization? What about listening to them? What kind of listening mechanisms? And you can come out with, all right, I'm going to open the floor to others. Let's see all right, how are you going to help employees perform and excel as virtual employees in the digitization change from a desire perspective? So desire team, have a go. Of course, we know that desire is about, it's a lot to do with the relationship between people that drives the desire to change. It could be the what's in it for me, but it could also be our conviction that it's the right thing to be doing, that it's a cool thing, that it's a fun thing. And by the way, I can make this change without any danger to me. So somebody reassuring me that I'm still going to keep my job, even though my job is changing. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these. Understand the sector-specific impacts. So can whoever said that, can you chime in a little, one or two more things? What's some of the sector-specific impacts that you would be looking after or taking care of or thinking about? Recognizing that if we don't change, it may even lead to a job loss. Okay, that's a pretty heavy one, that one. We build an incentive and incentivize the early adopters. That's a cool one. I like that one. Okay, who could be an early adopter? And I think the question is, what could we create that helps people to show that they're an early adopter? Okay, how do I show you that I'm going to be an early adopter? An early adopter here, I don't actually have to do it. Okay, so it doesn't have to have been developed yet, but what I do have to do is say that I want to come along with the change, that I'm cool with the change. All you got to do is teach me and I'll be doing it, that kind of stuff. Okay, using digital tools as a way to offset the disconnect, yeah, from co-workers and work. Yep, absolutely. So what practically could you suggest for that? What digital tools could we be using? Okay, employee consultation. Yeah, let's get them involved. Okay, so employee consultation, how would one run that? Is it the one-on-one Zoom meetings? How do you get that consultation? Okay, is it possible to do recordings, send those out, get feedback? Do you have other alternative channels like social channels that we could use? Could we activate some of those? All right, let's move to the knowledge group. Okay, so the group that was doing the knowledge, how are we going to help employees perform in digitization from the point or the perspective of knowledge? Okay, I'm sure you've discussed some of the things, some of the restraining forces there, and then what would we do to overcome those restraining forces? Help people build the knowledge of what they need to do as this digitization takes shape. High levels of information sharing, right? So that's using some really cool technologies that we are starting to see, like building murals and sharing files and so on. And I'm seeing from the crowdsourcing, virtual training, absolutely. I mean, if I think about the changes we've gone through, we used to have our programs used to only be, pretty much used to only be classroom-based, person-to-person, face-to-face kind of programs. And in the space of a couple of weeks, we've had to transform everything, and now we're doing them virtually. In fact, we're running a certification program starting tomorrow, and it's virtual. We're in the virtual room. I'm going to be here and doing my thing with the new practitioners, creating a culture of self-learning by creating digital online training, absolutely, to be accessed 24/7 and on demand. Okay, so for me, that's a good one, because what we're really doing is we're leveraging one of the benefits of being able to be flexible, one of the benefits of not being forced to go to a particular venue and everybody be there at the same time. We're sort of making hay out of that one, aren't we? Cool. Anybody else can chime in, please, if you've got, and I'm looking for kind of action type stuff, some ideas of what would we do and what would we plan for leaders to do so that we can build knowledge with the people about the digitization. Downloadable training material, absolutely. Yeah, as I was saying earlier, we've got our program's gone virtual. We've had to build everything downloadable. That's great. You know what? No paper. We're really saving forests here. All right, let's move to the next one, ability. How will we help employees perform in digitization from the perspective of building ability? And let's remember that when we use the word ability here, it's not me being able to do it, it's me doing it. Okay, we're using ability in a slightly different sense of the word here. When we talk about ability in the context of ADCAR, ability is actually doing it, showing you that I can deliver the kind of behavior that you want me to deliver. I'm saying the things that I should be saying. I'm thinking the things I should be thinking. I'm doing the new way. Okay. What ideas did you come out about how we may overcome these restraining forces that are stopping people from building the ability to actually execute on the job? Create coaching opportunities. Absolutely. Of course, that's going to create a challenge for the coaches, right? So if at the same time I'm saying, okay, we can be pretty flexible in our work hours, but I'm available for you as a coach, okay, then what's the employee expectation? Well, when I need the coach, I can call for the coach. So there's this, we are going to have to develop some kind of etiquette, some kind of rules of engagement, if you want to call that, about how people and when people can access others for coaching, for support. Okay. Convert the measures of performance to be detectable virtually. I find that really interesting. So an absolutely valid point. So how are we going to know that people are actually performing the way we want them to? We can't actually observe them at the desk doing stuff like we used to do when they were sitting in the office or saying things. So how would we do that in, of course, in a respectful manner? You know, it's respecting the privacy, all this kind of stuff. So how do we get to that? Visible performance, team huddles. Yeah, absolutely. We can get team huddles going. It's about getting used to it. It's about getting used to the way in which we would collaborate, and becoming really friendly with the camera in front of you. That webcam, that dreaded webcam. Becoming really friendly to it. Good metrics. So there's a lot here I'm seeing about metrics. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's all about metrics. Measure output, not time. Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that becoming so much something that's relevant for us? It's not about how many hours am I spending. In fact, actually, what I've been hearing from a lot of people is that the hours is a problem, because people are finding it really difficult sometimes to distinguish between when I'm at work and when I'm not at work, because I've actually got the laptop sitting here. It's in the lounge, it's in the dining room, and it's my work instrument that I'm working on. And it's actually very easy for me to blur the lines and spend too much time. And that, of course, has consequences, as we're starting to hear from our HR folk, that's having consequences in terms of stress and so on. Okay, so that's ability. Let's move to the last one, reinforcement. Okay, reinforcement group. How are we going to help employees perform in digitization from a reinforcement perspective? Right? We could use data to analyze the users, reverting back to the old ways. So that implies we've got to be measuring the old way and measuring the new way. I heard of a really cool reinforcement one, which was, if I can see that my people have really performed well, or somebody has really been performing well and produced fantastic input, as an award, we give them the sleep in award. What is the sleep in award? Well, you can stay in bed all day. Tomorrow you can stay in bed, you can sleep in, you don't have to log in, you can stay, you can just stay relaxed, okay? Or you can, well, the other one I heard was, well, we can give them a little bit of webcam time off. So yeah, they can stay connected, but they can attend the meeting in their PJs. Who cares? Nobody can see them there. So it's kind of fun stuff that we can do to reinforce people in the change. Okay, embed the rules of engagement. Yeah, celebrate those who participate in the platforms. Yeah, it's about a new way of behaving, isn't it? So we celebrate that. That we can measure. How many times have people logged in? What are they doing? How are they sharing stuff with other people? Absolutely. Regular check-ins, highlighting a good performance to peers. Absolutely. So keeping people connected, I guess. Regular check-ins, very, very important. We wrote a blog about that, about the importance of management staying in touch with their people. Great idea. Try and stay in touch with everybody every day. But we've got to be careful about when we do it and how we're doing it and so on. And, again, it comes back to those rules of engagement. Okay, cool. There was quite a lot here. So thank you very much. That's great. So I think you've got this list to add to the list that you've got on the ProSci Quick Start Guide. All of these things can help your people and help employees become better at being team members, at excelling while working in this whole new way of working. So what have we achieved here today? We now have a list of real actionable items that we can plan and do when we go out there to help our leaders and our colleagues. And, you know, I said this at our last webinar that we held a couple of days ago, and I really do believe this. Now is the time for change management and change managers to step up to the plate and lead organizations through this period of radical change. And I think the sharing of ideas between us, coming up with some good ideas about how we can help our employees and how we can plan for our leaders to do stuff, I think is really going to deliver a lot of benefit. I'm looking at the watch and I'm just on time, so I don't want to overrun here. Let me just cover one or two things. So I want to thank you very much for coming today to the community forum. I hope you're going away with some real actionable stuff that is the kind of value that we'd like to deliver from our forums. But you have also had a time, I guess, to network, and I've heard again, not enough. So we'll keep the lines open to encourage you to continue to network and maybe develop more of these actions and discuss what it's like to do change management in these times. And that's got a lot of interest and a lot of appeal there. So thank you very much for being at this session. I look forward to seeing you again on the 8th of June. We've collected all of this input from you. We're going to summarize that and we'll be getting it out to you. And I look forward to seeing you next time. So thank you and many happy changes. And I hope you stay safe and well going forward. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Cheers.